Hello all. Today, let us see the stability of nonlinear systems. In fact, this is an interesting topic in nonlinear system theory. And in today's discussion, we had seen a pendulum where we saw that there are two equilibrium points for the pendulum. Okay, in fact, we are having the simple equations for the pendulum can be written like this, where x1 is equal to, if we can take theta as x1 and x2 as equal to theta dot. Okay, so what will be x1 dot would be equal to x2, and x2 dot would be equal to minus dx2 minus g by L sine x1. Okay, so this is about the state equations for a pendulum equation. Okay, so we saw that when we equate the right hand side to 0, we can see that it has two equilibrium points. One is a 0 0 point and one is a pi 0 point. And one of the equilibrium point is stable, where because whatever perturbation we give to this point, about this point, we can see that the oscillations come to the 0 0, are attracted to the 0 0 point. And if you look at the inverted position, at this point what we can see that a very small perturbation to this side, or to the right side, can bring this point to instability. At this point, a small perturbation will attract the bob to the 0 0 point. Okay, so what did we learn from this experiment? We saw that one of the equilibrium point is stable, whereas the other equilibrium point is unstable. So that means that when we speak about the stability of nonlinear systems, we have to speak in terms of the equilibrium point. So in our discussions, we will be dealing with the stability of the equilibrium points in terms of each stability of the equilibrium points. So that is how we will be dealing with the nonlinear system stability. Okay, so in general, we can write x dot is equal to f of x comma t. This is the state equation for any system. This f of x comma t can be a nonlinear equation. So that means that if I am having an equilibrium point xe over here, let me put it here. This is x1, x2 something, and this is the x third, x3 axis, and like that there are as many axes depending upon the order of the system. Let this order be equal to n, and let this be an nth order system. So it will have as many axes as possible for the system. So from, and suppose this is the initial condition for the system, and I start from this initial condition, we can see that the trajectory is starts from the initial condition to the can start from the initial condition, and it can reach the equilibrium point. If the trajectory starts from the initial condition and it reaches the equilibrium point, we can say that the system can be stable. Okay, it need not be the case in all the situations, but as of now, let us say that I have an initial condition here, that is, this is xi of 0, x1 of 0. So I can start from another initial condition and I can plot the trajectory and can see where the trajectory is proceeding. So depending upon the direction or the path of the trajectory, we can speak about the stability of the system. And also we can say that if I put the right hand side of this equation to 0, that is f of x comma t equal to 0, and when we solve this equation we get the value x equal to xe. I should write it as capital X because this is an x equal to xe, becomes the equilibrium point of the system. Is the equilibrium point of the system, and it is at this point the system states are at rest. Okay, so we can see that all the derivatives of the state equation has come to 0 here. See, all the derivatives of the state equation has come to 0 here. Okay, so now if we consider, and if in the case we had seen in the first lecture that for a nonlinear system we can have multiple equilibrium points, and the word that I didn't specify there was multiple isolated equilibrium points. For example, if I have a linear system, I'm writing in terms of, okay, let it be 2. X dot is equal to A into X. This, if it is a linear system, we can write it in terms of, in the form as X dot is equal to A into X. If that means when, in order to compute the equilibrium point of the system, we have to put A into X equal to 0. The point at which Ax becomes 0 is the equilibrium point. Okay. Now, if A is singular, A is non-singular, that means A is non-singular. If A is non-singular, that means determinant of A not equal to 0. If determinant of A is not equal to 0, the only value of the equilibrium point would be the 0 point. Okay, xc would be the 0 point. If it is an n vector, it should be 0 0 0 0 up to n. All the states would be 0. That means the only equilibrium point for a linear system, if I consider a linear system, the only equilibrium point would be xc equal to 0 position if A is, or I will write it as a determinant of A. Okay, then writing it as non-singular, that is determinant of A not equal to 0. But suppose if determinant of A equal to 0, what happens? This we didn't discuss in the first lecture because I didn't want to complicate things. So what happens if the determinant of A equal to 0? That means if determinant of A equal to 0, I can have infinite number of x's, right? This equation can be satisfied for infinite number of equilibrium points. So I can have a continuum of equilibrium points, points when determinant of A equal to 0. Okay, maybe the whole x-axis, maybe the whole x1 axis can be equal to 0. But the difference from the linear and the nonlinear system is that a nonlinear system can have multiple isolated equilibrium points. Multiple isolated equilibrium points. Whereas in the case of a linear system, there would be only one isolated equilibrium point, that would be usually the 0 0 point for determinant of A equal to 0. Otherwise, it would be a continuum of equilibrium points. Okay. So that is the difference between the linear and the nonlinear system equilibrium points. Okay, we will see that in some examples. I have given some examples in this lecture on computation of equilibrium points. We will see the differences, these two cases. Okay, here. Okay, so now let us see the equilibrium points of the following system. Okay, this is the first equation. So I have x1 dot is equal to x2, and x2 dot is equal to minus 2x1 minus 3x2. So this is the first question. So what happens? Putting the right hand side to 0 would give the equilibrium points. So x2 equal to 0. So that is one equilibrium point, and this is in fact a linear system, and we know that this determinant of this equation, this matrix is not equal to 0. There should be only one equilibrium point, and that should be the 0 0 point. Anyway, we will compute that also. So when x2 equal to 0, x1 will also be equal to 0, right? So x1 is also equal to 0. So what is the equilibrium point? I will write here xc is equal to 0, 0 is the equilibrium point. Okay, for this case. So we'll go to the second case. Second one is a nonlinear system. We will write x2 plus 1 equal to 0. That means x2 equal to minus 1. That is, we got x2 point. Now what about the x1 point? X1 squared minus 1 equal to 0. That means x1 squared is equal to minus 1. This implies x1 is equal to plus or minus 1. Right. So that means how many equilibrium points are there here? For this system, I have 1 comma minus 1 as one equilibrium point, and the other one as minus 1 comma minus 1 as the other equilibrium points. Oh, these are in fact isolated points in the x1 x2 axis, right? These are two different points in the x1 x2 axis. Okay, now this is in fact a nonlinear system. We have got multiple isolated equilibrium points for the system. So now we will go and see the third equation. So here we can see, oh, this is in fact x1 equal to x1 dot, x2 equal to 0, the first equation. And the second equation again is equal to minus x2 equal to 0. I don't have any information about x1. That means for the system to be at rest, can be at rest for any value of x1, right? So x2 equal to 0 is one, is in fact one of the points where the equilibrium point is there, and there is no, and since there is no information about x1, I can have x1 to be any value, that means it's an arbitrary value. Okay, so that means I can consider the whole x1 axis as a equilibrium point axis. So I can have, if this is the x1 x2 plane, x2 equal to 0 is this point, x2 is 0 in this line, right? So this whole line will be the equilibrium points of this. That means I have infinite number of equilibrium points for the system. If you look back at this equation, we can see that the determinant of A equal to 0 for the system. Okay, determinant of A equal to 0, that means I can have a continuum of equilibrium points here. So the difference between these 2 points here is that here we cannot separate the equilibrium points. It's a whole set. Here we have multiple isolated equilibrium points here. Okay, multiple isolated equilibrium points. Okay, equilibrium points. Okay, so this fourth and fifth equations you can try out and find out the equilibrium points for the two systems. Okay, so the two systems given here, fourth and fifth, you can try out. Okay, these two equations you can try out, and these two you can see what are the equilibrium points of these two equations. Okay, now we will go and speak about the stability of the. Now we had seen here that in the previous in the pendulum case, we saw that the two equilibrium points are there. One of the equilibrium point is stable, the other one is unstable. So we are going to speak about the stability of the equilibrium points as such. Okay, so not about the stability as a whole. So we are going to give a small perturbation. We are going to consider a small area near the equilibrium point, and we are going to speak about the stability of the equilibrium point in the case of this nonlinear system. Okay, so now let us just have a little bit of recap for linear systems. Okay, in the case of a linear system, what was the external stability or bounded input, bounded output stability that we had seen earlier? We can see that we had seen that a system is, that means a causal system is externally stable if a bounded input, I think I have forgotten to put here an input here, if a bounded input produces a bounded output. Bounded input means u of t is bounded by some m. Okay, is bounded, it is less than infinity. That means then y of t will also be bounded, right? Then I should, if y of t is also bounded, this is m1 and this is m2, sorry, then the system is stable. Okay, so this is about the bounded input, bounded output stability of the system. Or if you speak about the in terms of the impulse response, we can say that the impulse response. If y of t is nothing but, if we give an impulse input to the system, y of t is nothing but the impulse response of the system. So I can also write integral 0 to infinity h of t dt should be, that is m less than some constant, some m. Then we can say that the system is externally stable, or bounded input, bounded output stable. Okay. What about the internal stability of the system? Okay. Now, in this case, we can see that we had seen about the stability of the system by looking at the matrix A of the system. Okay, depending upon the eigenvalues of the matrix. In fact, the eigenvalues represent the poles of the system. Or if we write the equation for an unforced system, we can write x dot t is equal to e raised to 18 into x of 0. And if the eigenvalues are lambda, and if the real part of the eigenvalues are less than 0, we used to say that the system is internally stable, or is internally stable. We know about the stability conditions for the linear system. Okay, now we will go and look at the, we cannot bring a conclusion for the nonlinear systems using these kinds of relation, because we cannot write in terms, write a nonlinear system as x dot is equal to a into xt plus b into u of t. We cannot write a nonlinear system in that form. So we cannot speak in terms of the poles of the system and speak about the stability of the system. So we have to find out different notions for stability of the system, and we will be speaking about the equilibrium point stability. Okay. So before going directly to the equilibrium point stability, we will have to learn some terms. We will have to have a recap of some terms. You know that the norm of any function, that means the distance between 2 points in space, is a norm. Okay, we take it as a Euclidean norm is the square root of this. Okay, if I am having x1, x is some point, and xe is usually represented as equilibrium point, the distance between these 2 points, for if x is an nth order system and xe is also nth order, I can find out the distance like this. So if you consider a second order system, we have x1 x2 axis, x1 x2 axis, and here if x is a equilibrium point, let us consider 0 0 as equilibrium point for the system, and some point, there is some point in space x in the system, the distance between these 2 points can be taken as x1 minus x1e, this is x1e, and square plus x2 minus x2e square, that is the square root of that will give the distance between these 2 points. So this is something which you know, but just to remind you, give you a recap of that. Okay, so now let us define some terms. X0 is the initial position of the state, okay, state variables, and xc is the equilibrium point, xc is the equilibrium point of the system, and xt is the state of the system at any time. Okay, so I start from some x0, and then I travel, and then I may reach or may not reach the equilibrium point xc, and xt is the state of x0 is the initial state of the system, and xc is the equilibrium state of the system. Okay, so xt is the state of the system at any time t. Okay, so that means xt is the value of the states during the in between the path. Okay, now the next information that we have to be clear is what does x0 minus xc less than delta mean. Okay, norm of this term mean, that means the distance between the initial point and the equilibrium point is less than some delta. For example, I have the x1 x2 axis here, x1 x2 axis here, and I have my initial let xe be this point and x0 be this point, and that means the distance between x0 and xe is this distance. And what does norm of x0 minus xc less than delta mean is that if I draw a circle of radius delta, this means that the distance x0 minus xc will be less than some delta, some radius delta. So that means x0 will be inside this, inside the ball of radius delta. And if I write xt minus xc less than epsilon, means that, what does it mean? Xt is the trajectory of the state, right? Xt is the trajectory of the state and xc is the equilibrium point of the state. Okay, so that means if I draw the x1, x2 axis, this is norm of x0 minus xc less than delta. So it is true for this case. If my x0 is somewhere here, that means it is not true for this case. If x0 is somewhere here, now x0 minus xc will be greater than delta. So this is the case for x0 minus xc less than delta. Okay, this point, if I have the x0 outside this ball delta, that means x0 minus xc is greater than delta. Similarly, I have some x0 here. Let me put xe here and x0 here, and I want my xc to lie within some delta ball. So I will also draw the delta ball here. So this is some delta ball. And x0 can travel through different paths and then reach xe, right? Suppose I draw the path of x0. So I travel like this. So I travel from x0, so like this, and then I may reach, I may or may not reach xe. Okay, so I have traveled like this. So this is in fact xt, right? This is in fact xt. So the path is in fact xt. So if I write xt minus xc less than epsilon, that means that every time we are taking the distance between the point xt and xc. Okay, every time we are taking the distance between these points xt. That means the curve should lie inside an epsilon ball. Is lying inside an epsilon ball. So I will draw an epsilon ball here. So showing that the xt is lying inside this epsilon ball. Okay. Okay, so this didn't come out as a proper circle because it was broken somewhere. So I will call this as an epsilon ball, distance as epsilon, and say that if xt is lying inside this curve, then this equation is true. Okay, this means that here, if I write here, this means that norm of xt, x of t minus xc is less than epsilon. Okay, less than epsilon. If suppose if this path was outside this curve, outside this epsilon ball, then this will not be satisfied. Then xt minus xc would be greater than epsilon. For example, if I am having a path like this, if I have some path like this, and it is reaching, in fact, if it is reaching like this, I cannot, this is not satisfied. This means that norm of x of t minus xc is greater than epsilon at these points, right here. At all these points, it is greater than epsilon. Okay, so we will be using these notations throughout our throughout the session. Okay, that's why we had discussed this session. So now I will not be explaining each term once again here when we will be discussing these terms throughout the session. Okay, so now we will speak about the stability in the sense of Lyapunov. Okay, so let us see. So Lyapunov was in fact a scientist who had studied a lot about the stability of nonlinear systems. Okay, so according to him, the system, any equilibrium point is just stable if for every epsilon greater than 0, there exists a delta greater than 0 such that if norm of x0 minus xc less than delta, then for every t greater than or equal to 0, we have norm of xt minus xc less than epsilon. The only thing that you might have understood was these norms. But okay, so let us make these points clear. That means we are going to speak about the stability of the equilibrium point. That means x is the equilibrium point. So I will draw the x1, x2 axis. So here we will consider only second order system so that it would be more clear for you. This is correct in the case of nth order systems also. So we will be only dealing with the second order systems here to explain the concept. Okay, so let us consider some equilibrium point here. I will consider this as the equilibrium point, so that this is the equilibrium point. Let this be the equilibrium point for the system. Okay, and the point xe is stable. Okay, so I'm going to consider if for every epsilon greater than 0. So first we have to choose some epsilon greater than 0. So I'm going to choose an epsilon greater than 0. So I have chosen an epsilon ball. This is a very small ball, though I have drawn it as a very big ball. Here this in fact is a very small ball, but so this epsilon, I have chosen an epsilon greater than 0. So I choose an epsilon greater than 0, and then if I want to speak about the stability of Hc, then you should be able to give me a delta greater than 0 where my initial condition is lying. So I should have some delta greater than 0. I should have, suppose I have one initial condition inside this epsilon ball, and I would enclose it by a delta ball and say that I have a delta greater than 0. I have a delta greater than 0 where my initial condition lies. Okay, so then I start, the trajectory starts from this point, and the trajectory may or may not reach the equilibrium point. Okay, so now what does the condition for stability says that if my x of t is lying within epsilon, that means the condition for stability does not mean that it has to directly go to the equilibrium point. I just have to lie within the epsilon ball, not that I have to reach the equilibrium point. That means I can have a trajectory x0 starting from here, and it can go round and round, and maybe it can lie within this. If it lies within this epsilon ball, then I can say that the system is stable. Okay, so this is about the stability of the Lyapunov stability. Says, suppose I have some point, if x0 starts from this point, I have a trajectory starting from this point, and the trajectory is moving somewhere inside this, and it is going out of the epsilon ball. This means that this is unstable. That means system is unstable. Here, in this case, the system is stable. So the only condition that is said in the case of Lyapunov stability is that the trajectory should lie within the epsilon ball. Okay, so for example, if I consider any second order system response, if you look at the response of a system, okay, 1 second. I have, if this is the response of a system, I'm taking the response. For example, x1 is the position. So I am trying to plot the position of the system. So I give you, I know different types of plots in space. Okay, for example, I know this kind of a plot here. I know some plot like this oscillatory plot here. Okay, I know another plot like it is coming like this. Okay, some plot comes like this. I have some initial point here. I have another plot like this. So these plots says that the system is converging to the equilibrium point. Here the gray plot says that it is oscillatory response is there for this kind of a system. For example, I have, and I'm going to give you some epsilon path here. So I say that I have some epsilon path here. So this is the epsilon ball I'm going to give you here. This is the epsilon distance that I'm going to give here. And then you should give me a delta ball where the initial condition, where I give an initial condition for the system. Where the initial condition for the system starts means I have, for example, I have a pendulum here. This is a pendulum. Okay, so I will draw with a different color because this is a pendulum here. So I'm asking you to show that the pendulum is stable about the 0 0 point. So you are going to choose one epsilon here. Somebody is going to choose one epsilon here and say that you have to show me that the system is stable. Okay, what you choose is you can start the perturbation for this pendulum at a small distance delta and say that this, in fact, in this case it is asymptotically stable for this case. So I would say that I am going to choose the initial point for the pendulum somewhere here to lie within some delta distance. So this is this theta 1 is going to the epsilon distance, and this I am going to choose an initial point theta 2 such that I am lying within some delta distance here. I'm going to lie within some delta distance here. So I will choose the initial point for my state very near to the equilibrium point and say that I can give you a delta which is greater than 0 and in fact lesser than epsilon, and say that if I choose the initial point lying within this delta ball, the system trajectory will not go out of this epsilon ball. That is what I am going to say. Okay, then I am going to give you a smaller epsilon. So it should be, the condition saying that it should be true for every epsilon. Then I should give, then that means it should be satisfied for any epsilon that I give you. So then I will give you some other epsilon here very near to this point. I'll give you another epsilon here and say that you show me that the system is stable for this epsilon that I am going to give you. So this epsilon I am going to give you. Then what does this condition say? This condition says that I have to give you a delta greater than 0, which where my initial condition starts. Okay, so I will choose a very small initial condition. That means I will choose some theta 3, sorry, inside here, inside the delta ball. Okay, I will choose another, I will give you another delta here and say that if I choose my initial condition here, my trajectory will not go out of this delta epsilon ball and system is stable. So I can give you as many initial conditions as possible, as many deltas as possible if you choose me an epsilon greater than 0. If you give me, that means this condition for this pendulum, it is stable. That 0 0 point is stable for this case. Okay, so if you look at this equation, I give you some epsilon greater than 0. So you have to, what is your duty? Our duty to show that the system is stable for some, given some system is stable, is that I have to find out some delta greater than 0. So I have to find out some delta which is greater than 0 and show that my trajectory, I have a trajectory which starts from here for the system and it is something which is something like this. That means the trajectory is having some oscillatory behavior. My trajectory is having some oscillatory behavior, but these oscillations are not going out of this epsilon ball. So this is what about the stability of the simple stability of the system. Sorry. This is about the stability of the system. Okay. So now let us go to the next term. Like we have only seen about the stability. This case was in fact an asymptotically stable case, but I have given this example here just to show about the delta balls. Okay. Now we will go and speak about the asymptotic stable stable system. Asymptotically stable system says that it is similar to the system that we had discussed here. So we have here the system is, that means for a system to be asymptotically stable, it means that it is Lyapunov stable. That means all the conditions that we had discussed in the previous system should be true. That means for any every epsilon greater than 0, and for and we should be able to give some delta greater than 0, where my initial condition starts, and for every, and show that the trajectory does not leave the epsilon ball. Okay, does not leave the epsilon ball. But what does the asymptotic stability say? There should be some other point here, right? So I'm giving you an epsilon ball here. I give you an epsilon ball here. So this is the epsilon ball I give you. And then if I give you an epsilon ball, you should be able to give me a delta ball where my initial condition starts, and say that my initial condition is starting somewhere here, and since it is Lyapunov stable, it says that it does not go about out of this epsilon ball. So it does not go out of this epsilon ball. That is true. But what is the next condition? It says that there exists a delta greater than 0 such that my initial condition is within that delta ball, and there is another important condition here, that is, as time tends to infinity, what happens to the trajectory? The trajectory will be attracted towards the equilibrium point. That means norm of xt minus xc equal to 0 means that the trajectory is reaching the equilibrium point. So if this is the equilibrium point xc, so it does not leave the epsilon ball, that is given by the first condition. And the second condition, what does it say? This trajectory has to somehow reach the equilibrium point. That is about the stability, asymptotic stability of the system. So according to Lyapunov, what he says that an equilibrium point is asymptotically stable if all the trajectories reach the equilibrium point. For example, if I have an oscillation like this for a system, sorry, I have an oscillation for a system like this. Okay, I have an oscillation like this, and it is somehow reaching the equilibrium point. We can say that the system is asymptotically stable. Okay, the system is asymptotically stable. Okay, now we will go to the next important term in Lyapunov stability theory, that is called exponential stability. So exponential stability means like it is actually the system should be asymptotically stable. So this condition should be true. That means all the initial conditions, wherever I start within the epsilon ball, delta ball, I should reach the equilibrium point. I should be able to reach the equilibrium point. This is t and this is some x1. Okay. I should be able to reach the equilibrium point hc. Okay. So that is true. That should be true. That is, the system should be asymptotically stable. Now, what is the next condition? The next condition is that there should be some alpha greater than 0, beta greater than 0, and I should be able to give you some alpha and beta which is greater than 0, and show that if I have an initial condition which is lying inside the delta ball, they should, that means it has to approach, that means this has to be equal to 0. This should go to 0, but since I have an exponentially decreasing term, I should show that the trajectories should reach the equilibrium point faster, at a faster rate. Okay, so that means I should have something like this. I have an initial point here, I have some initial point here, I should reach the equilibrium point at a faster rate. So that is what is meant by the exponential stability of the system. Okay, so here in all these cases we are choosing the equilibrium point. That means the delta distance, delta, we are going to choose this delta very close enough to the equilibrium point. Okay, So, and this everything should be true for every epsilon for the system. Okay, that means it should be in the neighborhood of the equilibrium point. The system is stable, asymptotically stable, or exponentially stable. Okay, so now in the case of the case in this case, um, if you look at this case, suppose I have a system, some system, I have some system. I will draw you a system here. For this asymptotic stable case, I will draw you some system here, and you should tell me whether the system is stable or not. I have chosen some epsilon ball here. I have chosen some epsilon ball here. Okay, and then you are giving me some delta, showing that my delta, I have an initial point x0 here, and then I am going to plot, this is the delta ball, which says that x0 is here, and this x0 is traveling like this, and then finally it is coming to the equilibrium point xc. It is coming to the equilibrium point, which says that the second condition is true. Second condition is true. But what about the first condition? First condition has failed here. It is not inside the epsilon ball. Okay, that means if I am having this condition, the system is not asymptotically stable. This is not asymptotically, this system is not stable. So the Lyapunov stability condition has not been satisfied here. It has gone out of the epsilon ball. So this is in fact the stable condition and asymptotically stable condition. So this should be clear to you. That means this trajectory should not go out of the epsilon ball. That is why we have given this Lyapunov's first condition here. That means it is not that the solutions has to reach the equilibrium point. At some point it may reach the equilibrium point. That does not mean that the system is stable. Okay, it may have gone to some instability values also. That means the oscillations may be very high and it can break the system also. Okay, so that is about the some points about the asymptotic stability. And in all the three cases, we had given only one initial point and said that if I have a initial point, there exists a initial condition. Okay, there exists a initial point inside the delta ball, then I can say that the system is stable, system is asymptotically stable, and system is exponentially stable. But suppose if I am able to give, say that wherever I start inside the epsilon ball, that means if I am having for all the space inside the epsilon ball, wherever I start inside the epsilon ball, inside the delta ball, I will have a stable condition. Suppose my trajectories does not go outside the delta ball, epsilon ball, and it reaches the equilibrium condition. Then we can say that the system is asymptotically stable in the large. Stable in the large, or I can say that the system is globally stable. In this case, we are only choosing one point and saying that the system is true for this case. I am only considering a very local point in the system and saying that the system is stable. So here we are speaking about the local stability of the case, and if it is true for any initial condition, then the system is asymptotically stable in the large or globally stable. Similarly, and if all the trajectories are moving at a faster rate, then we can say that it is exponentially stable in the large or globally exponentially stable. Okay, so I have put that points also here, global stability or stability in the large. Okay, so an equilibrium point is globally asymptotically stable if it is Lyapunov stable and the state converges to the equilibrium point for any initial state. So that is the difference here, for any initial state. Here also I have written here Xc is globally exponentially stable if it is Lyapunov stable and the state converges to the equilibrium point Xc for any initial state at a faster rate. Okay, at a faster rate. Okay. So what about instability? And the last point we are going to discuss is about the instability case. So when it goes out of this, I need not discuss here, as here it is going. That means I should be able to give some x0 showing that the x0 is going out of the epsilon ball. If these conditions are not true, then the system is unstable. Okay. So this is the definition for the instability condition. Okay, so this is about the stability of nonlinear systems uh, in the sense of Lyapunov. Okay, so about one point about exponential stability. For example, if I have x dot is equal to minus x, we know that the solution is of the form e raised to minus t x of 0, right? E raised to minus t x of 0. So that means it is showing exponential decrease to the system. Exponentially, the solutions are exponentially decreasing. So that is about the exponential stability. So you might be confused about that. If I have x dot is equal to minus x cubed, the system is also stable, is definitely going to the equilibrium point as t tends to infinity. But here I don't have an exponential stable condition. So because if I have an initial condition x0, it is of some 1 by x squared form. So it is something of 1 by 2 t x something of this form x0. So x0 squared, I think x0 squared, I think. So it is of this form. This does not give an exponentially decreasing solution. Here there is an exponentially decreasing solution. That is about the exponential stability of a system, and that is the difference between the exponential stability and asymptotic stability of a system. Okay, so now this is about the stability of nonlinear systems, which was discussed in terms of Lyapunov uh, theory. So in the next session, we will see what is Lyapunov. We will use some Lyapunov functions to find out the stability of nonlinear systems. Okay, thank you.